The morning started like any other day on Luna Base. Admiral Tejo sat at his desk reviewing supply reports and crew schedules. The coffee in his mug had gone cold hours ago, but he barely noticed. Running Earth's outer defense stations was routine work, or at least it had been until today. The alarms started screaming at exactly 0800 hours. Red lights flashed across every control panel in the base. Tejo dropped his reports and ran to the command center where dozens of officers stared at their screens in shock. "Sir, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Minseo, her voice shaking. She pointed at the main display screen. 12 massive ships just appeared in Earth orbit. They're bigger than anything we've ever seen. Tejo looked at the screen and felt his blood run cold. The alien ships were enormous, each one the size of a small city. Their dark hulls gleamed like polished stone, and strange weapons bristled from every surface. The largest ship sat in the center of the formation, easily 3 times bigger than Earth's biggest space station. "Are they responding to our communications?" Tejo asked. "They're transmitting on all frequencies, sir," replied Communications Officer Jamin. "They want to speak with Earth's leaders immediately." The main screen flickered and suddenly an alien face appeared. The creature was tall and reptilian with golden scales and bright yellow eyes. Its voice was deep and commanding as it spoke in perfect English. "People of Earth, I am Commander Veltar of the Galactic Empire. Your species has developed faster-than-light travel and nuclear weapons. This makes you a potential threat to the Empire's peace. You have 72 hours to surrender completely, or we will destroy your planet." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in complete silence. Tejo stared at the screen, his mind racing. 72 hours. That was barely enough time to evacuate a single city, let alone an entire planet. On Earth, President Jiwoo received the same message in her office in Seoul. She immediately called an emergency meeting of the Global Defense Council. Within 2 hours, military leaders from every nation gathered in the underground war room beneath the Blue House. "What do we have that can fight those ships?" Jiwoo asked General Wu Jin, head of Earth's combined military forces. Wu Jin pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's space fleet. 40 destroyers and 6 heavy cruisers, Madam President. Our most powerful weapons are nuclear missiles and plasma cannons. Against ships that size, and he shook his head, it would be like throwing rocks at a mountain. Meanwhile, Captain Somin Park stood on the bridge of the destroyer EDS Seoul, one of the ships patrolling Earth's outer defenses. Through the viewport, she could see the alien fleet hanging in space like dark clouds. Each enemy ship dwarfed her destroyer completely. "Captain, we're receiving new orders from Luna Base," reported her communications officer. Somin read the message and frowned. All Earth ships were to pull back to defensive positions around the moon. It seemed like Admiral Tejo was preparing for a fighting retreat. But Somin knew their small fleet couldn't last more than a few minutes against those alien giants. Back on Luna Base, Tejo locked himself in his private office and made a call on a secure encrypted channel. The person who answered was Dr. Yun He, head of a classified research facility hidden deep in the asteroid belt. "Doctor, it's time," Tejo said simply. "Are you sure, Admiral? Once we reveal Blackstar, there's no going back. Earth has less than 70 hours before those aliens turn our planet into dust." "Yes, I'm sure." Dr. Yun He was quiet for a long moment. "The ship is ready. Commander Dongwu has been running final tests all week. When do you want us to move? I'll give you the signal when the time is right. Make sure your people understand. This isn't just about saving Earth anymore. We're about to show the galaxy that humanity doesn't surrender." In the asteroid facility, Dr. Yun He walked through corridors carved from solid rock. The base had been built in complete secrecy over 30 years ago. Only a handful of people in the entire human government knew it existed. She entered the main hangar and looked up at humanity's greatest secret. The USS Blackstar floated in its dock, a sleek black ship that seemed to absorb light itself. It was smaller than the alien dreadnoughts, but looked far more advanced than anything else humanity had built. Commander Dongwu stood on the ship's bridge, running through final system checks with his small crew. Every person aboard had volunteered for what might be a suicide mission. They knew the Blackstar was humanity's only hope against the alien invasion. "All systems are green, sir," reported Engineer Hyun-sik. "The quantum drives are stable and the reality anchor is ready for deployment." Dongwu nodded. The Blackstar's weapons and defenses were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Human scientists had taken a completely different approach to space technology. and now they would find out if their crazy ideas could actually work. As the deadline approached, tension filled every human settlement in the solar system. On Mars, colonists watched the news broadcasts and prepared for the worst. On the orbital stations around Jupiter, workers continued their jobs but kept looking toward Earth, wondering if they would ever see their home planet again. The alien fleet remained perfectly still in Earth's orbit, like predators waiting to strike. Their commander, Veltar, was confident that the humans would surrender. In his experience, primitive species always gave up when faced with the Empire's overwhelming power. But Veltar didn't understand humans very well. In emergency shelters around the globe, people weren't talking about surrender. They were talking about resistance. Children drew pictures of spaceships fighting aliens. Adults organized volunteer groups to help however they could. Even knowing they faced impossible odds, humanity was preparing to fight. Admiral Tejo spent the remaining hours coordinating with Earth's leaders and making final preparations. He knew the conventional fleet couldn't win, but they might be able to provide enough distraction for the Blackstar to do its job. As the final hour approached, Tejo opened a channel to the asteroid base. Dr. Yunhee, begin the operation. It's time to show these aliens what humans are really capable of. The response came back immediately. Blackstar is launching now, Admiral. Commander Dongwu sends his regards. In the darkness of space, something began to move. The alien sensors couldn't detect it yet, but humanity's secret weapon was finally heading into battle. The galaxy was about to learn that Earth's people had some very surprising ideas about how to fight a war. 3 days before the alien ultimatum, Commander Dongwu walked through the corridors of the most secret place in human space. The asteroid facility had been his home for 5 years, ever since he was selected to command Project Blackstar. Most of humanity didn't even know this place existed. The base was carved inside a large asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. From the outside, it looked like just another floating rock. Inside, it housed humanity's most advanced technology and their greatest hope for survival. Dongwu entered the main hangar and stopped to admire the USS Blackstar. The ship was beautiful in a deadly way. Its hull was perfectly black and seemed to bend light around it. Unlike human ships with their angular designs, the Blackstar was smooth and curved, almost organic looking. "Good morning, Commander," said Dr. Yunhee as she approached. She was the chief scientist of the project and the person who had designed most of the Blackstar's impossible technology. "Are you ready for today's final tests?" Dongwu nodded. "My crew has been training for this moment for years. We're as ready as we'll ever be." They walked together toward the ship's boarding ramp. Dr. Yunhee began explaining the systems to the new crew members who had arrived that morning. These people had been selected from across the human military, each one an expert in their field. "The Blackstar doesn't work like other spaceships," Dr. Yunhee said as they entered the bridge. "We didn't try to copy alien technology or just make bigger guns. Instead, we asked a simple question: what if we could change the rules of space combat entirely?" Captain Boram, who would serve as the ship's tactical officer, studied the control panels. Everything looked different from standard human designs. "How exactly does it work, Doctor?" Dr. Yunhee smiled. "The key is our quantum phase drive. Most ships exist completely in normal space. The Blackstar can exist partially outside space-time itself. When we're phased, enemy weapons pass right through us because we're not entirely there." Engineer Hyun-sik ran his hands over the power controls. "But we can still affect the normal universe while we're phased?" "Exactly. Our weapons fire from quantum space into normal space. We can shoot them, but they can't shoot us back. At least that's the theory." The crew spent the next several hours learning their stations. The Blackstar's bridge was smaller than most warships because it didn't need heavy armor or massive weapons. Speed and stealth were more important than brute force. "What about this reality anchor system?" asked Navigator Ginny, pointing to a control panel covered in warning lights. Dr. Yunhee's expression became serious. "That's our most powerful weapon and our most dangerous one. The reality anchor can lock a region of space into Earth's physical laws. Any alien technology that works differently from human science simply stops working." "How big an area can it affect?" Dongwu asked. "In testing, we've covered about 10,000 cubic kilometers, but we've never used it in real combat. The energy requirements are enormous, and there's always a risk that we might anchor ourselves out of existence." The crew continued their training throughout the day. They practiced phasing in and out of normal space, learned to operate the gravity weapons, and ran simulation after simulation of combat scenarios. Most of the simulations ended with them either winning decisively or being destroyed completely. There was no middle ground with the Blackstar's technology. As evening approached, Dr. Yun-hee took Dong-woo on a tour of the ship's engineering sections. The power core was unlike anything in the human fleet. Instead of fusion reactors, the Blackstar drew energy from quantum fluctuations in empty space itself. "We're essentially borrowing power from the universe," she explained. "As long as space-time exists, we have unlimited energy. The trick is controlling it without tearing a hole in reality." Engineer Hyun-sik joined them in the engine room. He had been working on the Blackstar project longer than anyone except Dr. Yun-hee herself. "The quantum drives are stable, but I'm still worried about combat stress on the systems." "What's the worst that could happen?" Dong-woo asked. "If the quantum containment fails, we could create a small black hole. If the reality anchor malfunctions, we might erase ourselves from existence. If the phase drives overload," Hyun-sik shrugged. "Nobody knows what would happen. We'd be in completely uncharted territory." Despite the risks, the crew was eager to test their ship. They had all volunteered for this mission knowing they might not survive. Earth's survival was more important than their personal safety. The next morning brought news of the alien fleet's arrival. Admiral Taeho's coded message was simple: "Prepare for immediate deployment. This is not a drill." Dr. Yun-hee gathered the crew in the briefing room and activated the holographic display. It showed the alien fleet hanging in Earth's orbit like dark storm clouds. 12 capital ships, she said, each one bigger than our largest space stations. Their weapons could crack continents, and their shields can probably stop anything in our conventional arsenal. "But not the Blackstar," said Captain Boram confidently. "We hope not. Remember, we've never tested these systems against real alien technology. Everything we know comes from computer simulations and theory." Commander Dong-woo stood up and faced his crew. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is why we trained. Earth has 72 hours before those aliens attack. We're going to show them that humans don't give up without a fight." The crew took their stations and began the launch sequence. The Blackstar's engines came online with a sound like distant thunder. Slowly, the ship rose from its hidden dock and moved toward the hangar's massive doors. "Activating quantum phase drives," reported engineer Hyun-sik. "We're now partially outside normal spacetime." Through the viewports, the stars looked strange and twisted. The ship was sliding between dimensions, invisible to normal sensors and untouchable by conventional weapons. "Course laid in for Earth orbit," said Navigator Jin-A. "Travel time at quantum speeds, 4 hours." Dr. Yun-hee remained on the bridge as the ship departed. She had spent 30 years of her life developing the Blackstar's technology. Now she would find out if human creativity could really triumph over alien firepower. "Commander," she said to Dong-woo, "there's something you should know. The aliens have conquered 73 different species across the galaxy. They've been building their empire for thousands of years, and none of those species ever tried to fight back the way we're about to. We're not just defending Earth. We're about to show the entire galaxy a completely new way to wage war." As the Blackstar raced through quantum space toward Earth, its crew prepared for humanity's most desperate gambit. They carried with them 30 years of human ingenuity, creativity, and stubborn refusal to accept defeat. The galaxy was about to learn that Earth's people had some very interesting ideas about what was possible. The alien fleet hung motionless in Earth's orbit as the 72-hour deadline expired. Admiral Veltar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the massive dreadnought Eternal Dominion. He had conquered worlds across the galaxy, and Earth would be no different from the others. "Any response from the human government?" he asked his communications officer. "Nothing, Admiral. Their primitive leaders remain silent." Veltar's golden scales glittered in the bridge lights as he smiled. "Then we will make an example of this world. Begin the bombardment. Target their major cities first." The alien weapons powered up with a sound like rolling thunder. Plasma cannons the size of buildings prepared to fire. Antimatter torpedoes loaded into their tubes. The firepower aimed at Earth could destroy entire continents. But before the first shot could fire, space itself seemed to twist near the alien flagship. Reality bent and warped, and suddenly a sleek black ship appeared directly between the alien dreadnoughts. "What is that?" Veltar demanded, staring at the human vessel on his screen. The ship was unlike anything in his vast database of galactic vessels. It was smaller than his dreadnoughts but seemed to absorb light itself. Strange energy patterns danced around its hull, and the space around it looked somehow wrong. On the bridge of the USS Blackstar, Commander Dong-Wu opened communications channels to every ship in the alien fleet. His voice was calm and steady as he spoke. "Attention, Imperial Fleet. I am Commander Dong-Wu of the United Earth starship Blackstar. You have threatened our world. You have demanded our surrender. You have made a mistake," Admiral Veltar laughed. "One small ship against my entire fleet? You humans are even more foolish than I thought. Destroy that vessel immediately." The alien fleet opened fire with everything they had. Plasma bolts the size of buses streaked through space. Antimatter torpedoes that could vaporize mountains launched from dozens of ships. Energy beams hot enough to melt steel focused on the tiny human craft. Every single shot passed harmlessly through the Blackstar as if it wasn't there. "Impossible," whispered Veltar, watching his weapons fire uselessly at empty space. On the Blackstar's bridge, Engineer Hyun-sik monitored the quantum phase generators. "All shots passing through our position, Commander. The aliens can't hit what's not entirely in their dimension." Captain Boram studied the tactical display. "They're firing everything they have. Plasma cannons, antimatter weapons, some kind of gravity disruptor. None of it matters while we're phased." Dr. Yun-hee's voice came over the communication system from the asteroid base. "Remember, you can't stay phased forever. The quantum drives will overheat if you maintain phase state for more than 20 minutes. Commander Dong-Wu nodded. "Then we'll have to make this quick. Hyun-sik, prepare the reality anchor. Boram, target the space around their entire fleet." "Sir, that's a huge area," Boram replied. "We've never tried to anchor that much space before. Today we find out what the Blackstar can really do." The reality anchor system came online with a deep, thrumming sound that seemed to shake the fabric of space itself. Energy readings on the Blackstar's instruments went off the scale as the ship began rewriting the physical laws in a massive sphere around the alien fleet. Admiral Veltar felt something change. His ship's instruments began showing impossible readings. "What's happening to our systems?" "Admiral, our weapons are malfunctioning," reported his weapons officer. "The plasma cannons are showing errors. The antimatter torpedoes won't fire. Even our shields are flickering." Across the alien fleet, the same thing was happening. Technology that had worked perfectly for thousands of years was suddenly failing. Their advanced weapons stopped working. Their energy shields collapsed. Even their faster-than-light communications were cut off. "Commander," said Navigator Jin-A from the Blackstar's bridge, "the reality anchor is working perfectly. We've locked this entire region of space into Earth physics. Their technology can't function here anymore." The alien ships found themselves trapped in a version of reality where their advanced weapons were just expensive metal sculptures. But human technology, designed around Earth's physics, worked exactly as intended. "Gravity cannons ready." "Commander," reported Captain Boram. "Fire." The Blackstar's gravity cannons weren't like normal weapons. They didn't shoot projectiles or energy beams. Instead, they created localized distortions in space-time itself. Gravity wells formed around the alien ships not to crush them, but to trap them. Admiral Veltar watched in horror as his mighty fleet was caught in impossible gravitational fields. The ships couldn't move forward, backward, or even rotate. They were held perfectly still by forces that shouldn't exist. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "No species in the galaxy has technology like this." Commander Dong-Wu's voice echoed across all alien communication channels. "You've spent thousands of years perfecting weapons and ships. We spent decades learning to break the rules you think are unbreakable." The Blackstar began moving between the trapped alien vessels. Its quantum phase drives allowed it to slip in and out of normal space like a ghost. Sometimes it was there, sometimes it wasn't, but it was always dangerous. "Admiral, the human ship is doing something to our engines," reported Veltar's engineering officer. "They're not damaging them, they're changing them somehow." Indeed, the Blackstar was using its reality anchor to rewrite the physical laws inside each alien ship. Faster-than-light drives became impossible. Advanced computers reverted to simple calculators. The aliens found themselves trapped in vessels that could barely function. "This is impossible," Veltar repeated. "Space combat doesn't work this way." "It does now," came Commander Dong-Wu's reply. "You wanted to demonstrate imperial power to a primitive species. Instead, you're learning what happens when humans decide to rewrite the rules of war." The battle, if it could be called that, lasted exactly 18 minutes. When it was over, the alien fleet hung helpless in Earth's orbit. Their weapons were useless, their defenses were gone, and their ships were trapped by gravitational fields they couldn't escape. Captain Somin, watching from her destroyer Sol, couldn't believe what she was seeing. "This is Captain Somin to all Earth vessels. Did anyone else just watch a single human ship defeat the entire alien fleet?" "Confirmed, Sol," came Admiral Tejo's voice from Luna Base. "The USS Blackstar has neutralized the Imperial threat. All alien vessels are immobilized. On the Blackstar's bridge, the crew worked quickly to stabilize their systems. The reality anchor had performed beyond all expectations, but the energy drain was enormous. Quantum drives are overheating," reported Engineer Hyun-sik. "We need to phase back to normal space and let them cool down." "Do it," ordered Commander Dongwu. "I think we've made our point." The Blackstar shimmered back into full reality, its black hull now clearly visible to every human and alien sensor in the system. The small ship sat surrounded by 12 massive alien dreadnoughts, all of them helpless. Admiral Veltar stared at the human vessel that had destroyed his fleet without firing a single conventional weapon. "What do you want?" he transmitted. Commander Dongwu's final message went out across the galaxy, carried by every communication relay in the Imperial fleet. "Tell your Emperor that Earth is not for conquest. Tell him that humanity has our own ideas about how the universe works, and tell him that any fleet sent against us will face the same fate as yours." The demonstration was over, but the real war was just beginning. The news of Admiral Veltar's defeat spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. In the Imperial capital world of Dominex Prime, Emperor Zixthalan received the reports with growing fury. No single species had ever humiliated the Empire like this. "Impossible," he growled, his massive claws scraping against the metal throne. "One primitive ship cannot defeat an entire battle fleet." "The recordings are clear, Your Imperial Majesty," said General Morcax, commander of the Empire's military forces. "The human vessel used technology we don't understand. Our weapons couldn't touch it, and somehow they made our own technology stop working." The Emperor's golden eyes blazed with anger. "Then we will send a fleet so large that no single ship can stand against it. How many vessels do we have available?" 300 of our finest warships, including the super dreadnought Universe Breaker. "The largest battle fleet ever assembled. Send them all. I want that human world turned to ash and their impossible ship destroyed. The galaxy must see what happens to species that defy the Empire." On Earth, Admiral Tejo watched the Imperial fleet forming in deep space through long-range sensors. The alien armada was massive beyond imagination. Every ship was larger than Earth's biggest space stations, and their combined firepower could crack planets. "Sir, we're detecting over 300 vessels," reported Lieutenant Minseo. "The lead ship is enormous. It's bigger than anything we've ever seen." Admiral Tejo studied the tactical display. The super dreadnought at the center of the alien formation was the size of a small moon. Its weapon systems could probably destroy Earth's entire conventional fleet in minutes. "Get me Commander Dongwu," he ordered. On the USS Blackstar, now hidden in the outer asteroid belt, Commander Dongwu received the priority transmission. The ship was undergoing repairs from their first battle, and Dr. Yunhee was making modifications to their systems. "Commander, we have a problem," Admiral Tejo said. "The Empire is sending everything they have. 300 ships led by something called the Universe Breaker." Dongwu looked at the intelligence data flowing across his screens. "That's 10 times larger than their first fleet. Can the Blackstar handle that many ships?" Dr. Yunhee joined the conversation from the engineering deck. "I've been studying the sensor data from our first encounter. The aliens learned from their defeat. Their new weapons are specifically designed to disrupt quantum fields, meaning they might be able to hit us even when we're phased. And with that many ships, they can probably overload our reality anchor system." Engineer Hyun-sik looked up from his work on the quantum drives. "The good news is that I've found a way to extend our phase technology to other ships. We can bring Earth's entire defense fleet into quantum space with us." Admiral Tejo's eyes lit up. "How many ships?" "All of them. Every destroyer, cruiser, and defense platform in the system. They'll all be able to phase in and out of normal space like the Blackstar." Captain Boram, who had been studying the tactical implications, frowned. "But that still leaves us outnumbered 50-1. Even with quantum phasing, those are bad odds." Dr. Yunhee smiled mysteriously. "Actually, Captain, There's something Admiral Tejo hasn't told you yet. Something that will change everything. 3 days later, the Imperial fleet arrived in Earth's solar system. Emperor Zixthalan himself commanded the massive force from the bridge of the Universe Breaker. He had come personally to oversee humanity's destruction. Sensors detect 46 human vessels, reported the fleet's tactical officer. They're moving to intercept us near Earth's moon. The Emperor laughed. 46 ships against 300? These humans are even more foolish than I thought. Begin the attack. Captain Somin stood on the bridge of the destroyer Sol, now equipped with a prototype quantum phase drive built using Blackstar technology. Around her, the rest of Earth's fleet prepared for the impossible battle ahead. All ships, this is Admiral Tejo. Today we fight not just for Earth, but to show the galaxy that humans don't surrender. Phase drives online. Let's show these aliens what we've learned. The human fleet shimmered and vanished as every ship activated its quantum drives. Suddenly, the aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that could appear and disappear at will. But this time, the Empire was ready. The Universe Breaker fired its primary weapon, a massive beam that tore through space-time itself. The energy blast caught 2 human destroyers as they tried to phase, ripping them apart at the quantum level. "They can hit us now," reported Captain Somin as her ship barely avoided another reality-tearing blast. "Their new weapons can track us through quantum space." On the Blackstar, Commander Dongwu watched his fleet take heavy casualties. The aliens had learned from their first defeat and adapted their technology. Humanity's advantages were disappearing fast. "Sir, we're losing ships faster than we can hurt them," reported Captain Boram. "We need a new strategy." Dr. Yunhee's voice came over the communication system. "Commander, it's time to activate Protocol Omega." "Are you sure, Doctor?" "Once we do this, there's no going back. Earth is about to be destroyed and our fleet is being torn apart." "Yes, I'm sure." Commander Dongwu opened a secure channel and transmitted a single coded message. "All Blackstar units, Protocol Omega is authorized." "Repeat, Protocol Omega is authorized." Across the galaxy, 12 hidden signals responded, deep in asteroid belts disguised as mining stations, and hidden in the darkness between stars. Humanity's greatest secret began to move. The aliens were winning the battle when space suddenly twisted in 12 different locations around their fleet. Reality bent and warped as more Blackstar-class vessels phased into normal space. Emperor Zixthalan stared at his tactical display in disbelief. "Impossible. There can't be more ships like that one." But there were. 13 identical vessels now surrounded the Imperial fleet, each one equipped with the same reality-breaking technology as the original Blackstar. Humanity had not built just one impossible warship. They had built an entire squadron. "All units, this is Commander Dongwu. Begin coordinated reality anchor deployment. Let's show them what happens when humans really get creative." The 13 Blackstar vessels worked together to create the largest reality anchor field ever generated. Space-time locked into Earth's physical laws across an area the size of a small solar system. Every alien ship found itself trapped in a version of reality where their advanced technology simply couldn't function. But the Universe Breaker was different. Its massive size and power allowed it to partially resist the reality anchor field. Emperor Zixthalan found that some of his weapons still worked, though they were much weaker than before. "All ships concentrate fire on those black vessels," he ordered. "If we can destroy them, we can break free of whatever they're doing to us." The battle became a nightmare of impossible physics and reality-bending weapons. The Blackstar Squadron used quantum manipulation to attack from multiple dimensions at once. They fired weapons that traveled backward through time, created shields that convinced incoming missiles they had already missed their targets, and used tactics that operated on pure human creativity rather than mathematical calculation. Engineer Hyun-sik pushed his quantum drives beyond their design limits, allowing his Blackstar to exist in 3 different dimensions simultaneously. Navigator Jin-A calculated flight paths that shouldn't exist, moving her ship through routes that folded spacetime like paper. The Imperial fleet, trapped in Earth's physics, found themselves fighting a war they couldn't understand. Their commanders had trained for thousands of years to fight conventional space battles. Nothing had prepared them for enemies who treated the laws of physics as suggestions. As the battle raged, Emperor Zixthalan realized that his mighty empire was facing something completely new. These humans didn't just have advanced technology, they had a completely different way of thinking about war itself. The universe breaker shuddered as reality-warping weapons struck its hull. For the first time in his long life, the Emperor began to wonder if the Empire could actually lose this battle. The battle around Earth had been raging for 6 hours when Emperor Zixthalan made his decision. His massive fleet was being torn apart by weapons that shouldn't exist, used by an enemy that fought like no other species in the galaxy. "Bring my personal flagship into the battle," he commanded from the bridge of the universe breaker. "I will not be defeated by primitive humans." The Cosmic Dominion was the Emperor's private warship, larger even than the universe breaker, and equipped with weapons that could destroy entire star systems. It phase-shifted into the battle zone with a sound like reality tearing apart. Commander Dongwu watched the new arrival on his tactical display. "That ship is massive. It's bigger than some moons." Dr. Yunhee's voice crackled over the communication system from the asteroid base. "Commander, our sensors are picking up energy readings unlike anything we've seen. That ship is drawing power from multiple dimensions." Around the battlefield, the 13 Blackstar vessels continued their impossible dance of quantum combat. They phased in and out of normal space, fired weapons through time itself, and used gravitational fields to trap entire squadrons of alien ships. Captain So-min, fighting alongside the Blackstars in her modified destroyer Sol, couldn't believe what she was seeing. "This is Sol to Blackstar 1. Your ships are doing things that should be physically impossible." "That's the point, Sol," replied Commander Dongwu. "We stopped worrying about what's supposed to be impossible and started figuring out how to make it work anyway." But the Cosmic Dominion was different from the other alien ships. It began adapting to the reality anchor field, its weapons slowly becoming more effective. Emperor Zixthalan had equipped his personal vessel with technology stolen from dozens of conquered species. "Interesting," he said, studying the human tactics. "These creatures fight by changing the rules of engagement itself. They don't try to overpower their enemies. They make their enemies' power irrelevant." The Emperor's tactical officer looked confused. "Sir, should we withdraw? We're taking heavy casualties." "No, I want to understand how they do this. How does a species that achieved spaceflight only centuries ago develop technology that surpasses civilizations millions of years old?" Admiral Tejo, coordinating the battle from Luna Base, was asking himself the same question. Humanity had built weapons and tactics that seemed magical, even to their own creators. "Sir, the Blackstar Squadron is reporting quantum drive overheating," reported Lieutenant Minseo. "They can't maintain this level of reality manipulation much longer." Tejo opened a channel to all human forces. "All ships prepare for final assault. We end this now, one way or another." The 13 Blackstar vessels formed a perfect circle around the Imperial fleet and began their most dangerous maneuver yet. They linked their reality anchor systems together, creating a field so powerful it began rewriting the fundamental laws of physics in local space. Engineer Hyun-sik monitored the quantum readings from his station. "Commander, we're approaching critical levels. If we push any harder, we might create a permanent rift in space-time." "Do it anyway," Dongwu replied. "Earth's survival is worth the risk." The combined reality anchor field expanded to cover the entire battlefield. Inside this sphere of altered physics, human creativity became a weapon more powerful than any technology. The Blackstar crews began using tactics that existed only in their imagination, moments before they tried them. Navigator Jinnie calculated a flight path that led backward through cause and effect, allowing her ship to arrive at its destination before it left its starting point. Captain Boram fired weapons that convinced their targets they had already been destroyed. Engineer Hyun-sik created gravity fields that worked by making space forget which direction was up. The Imperial fleet found itself caught in a battle where logic itself had become a casualty. Ships fired at enemies that weren't there yet. Explosions happened before the weapons that caused them were fired. The aliens' advanced computers simply gave up trying to process what was happening. Emperor Zixthalan watched his mighty armada being systematically dismantled by an enemy that had made nonsense into a science. "This is impossible. Physics doesn't work this way." Commander Dongwu's voice echoed across all communication channels. "Physics works however we decide it works, Emperor. That's what you never understood about humans." The Cosmic Dominion shuddered as reality-bending attacks struck its hull from directions that didn't exist. The Emperor's personal shields, designed to stop planet-killing weapons, were useless against attacks that bypassed the concept of defense entirely. "How?" The Emperor demanded over open channels. How does your species do this? Simple, Dongwu replied. Everyone else in the galaxy spent millions of years learning how to use the universe's rules. We spent a few decades learning how to change them. Dr. Yunhee, monitoring the battle from her command center, smiled as she watched her life's work prove itself. Admiral Taeho, the reality anchor field is stable. We've successfully rewritten physics across an area of space larger than Earth's solar system. But the effort was taking its toll. The Blackstar squadron's quantum drives were overheating dangerously. Several of the ships were showing critical system failures from the strain of maintaining their impossible tactics. All Blackstar units, this is Dongwu. We can't keep this up much longer. Time for the final demonstration. The 13 vessels focused all their remaining power on a single point in space directly in front of the cosmic dominion. Reality twisted and warped as they created something that had never existed before. A stable portal to a universe where different physical laws applied. Through the portal came a weapon that existed in a reality where the concept of impossible was impossible. It was both there and not there, both weapon and shield, both creation and destruction. The alien computers couldn't process what they were seeing, because it literally could not exist in their universe. Emperor Zixathalan stared at the impossible weapon, and finally understood. You're not fighting us with superior technology. You're fighting us with superior imagination. Now you're getting it, Commander Dongwu said. Surrender now and we'll let you retreat. Continue fighting and we'll show you what happens when humans stop holding back. The Emperor looked around at his devastated fleet. 300 of the Empire's finest warships had been reduced to floating wrecks by 13 human vessels that refused to follow the rules of space combat. His own flagship, the most powerful ship in the galaxy, was being held in place by gravitational fields that shouldn't exist. What do you want? He asked. We want you to leave Earth alone. We want you to tell every species in the galaxy that humans are not for conquest, and we want you to remember that the next fleet you send against us will face even worse than this one did. The portal to the impossible universe closed, and the reality anchor field began to collapse. The Blackstar squadron's quantum drives were finally giving out, but they had accomplished their mission. Emperor Zixathalan made the hardest decision of his long reign. The Imperial fleet withdraw immediately. Set course for Dominax Prime. As the surviving alien ships limped away from Earth, they carried with them news that would change the galaxy forever. Humanity had not just defeated the Empire's greatest fleet. They had demonstrated a completely new form of warfare based on creativity, imagination, and the stubborn human refusal to accept that anything was truly impossible. Admiral Taeho watched the alien retreat from Luna Base and opened a channel to the Blackstar squadron. Commander Dongwu, mission accomplished. Welcome to the new galactic order. The USS Blackstar and her sister ships had done more than save Earth. They had announced to the entire galaxy that humanity would never bow to any empire, no matter how large or powerful. The age of human expansion into the stars had begun, and the universe would never be the same. In the years that followed, the Battle of Earth became legendary across the galaxy. Other species began to wonder if they too could learn to fight by changing the rules instead of following them. The Empire's grip on power began to weaken as worlds discovered that the supposedly invincible Imperial fleet could be defeated by enemies who thought differently. But that is a story for another day. For now, Earth was safe, and humanity had taken its place among the stars not as subjects of an empire, but as the species that proved even the laws of physics were just suggestions waiting to be rewritten by those brave enough to try.